What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Sunday League Screamers podcast. I'm your host of today's show, Steve McCutcheon, along with my two co-hosts, Michael Noen and Vito Anazelli. Say hello, fellas.
Steve, good to be back.
Hello. How you doing?
It's good to have the whole group back finally. So you've had some slackers over there, so
yeah, it's been a couple episodes without all three of us, right?
Vito and I have been too busy partying. Sorry.
Yeah.
Listen,
Duty calls, you know.
Bad dog life now, man. What can I say?
Premier League may have taken a break, but my liver has not.
Jesus Christ. Love to see that. We have another great show for you guys today. Before that, please take a moment. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell, subscribe to us, Spotify, iTunes as well, wherever else you find your podcast. Also follow us on Twitter at the SL Screamers_pod. We have some news and notes from around the world to kick the show off today. One of the most notable that I'm sure everyone saw, especially on Twitter, Brazil versus Argentina, just fiasco right now. I don't even know what else to describe what the hell happened on the field right there. But what's your guys' take?
Man. I mean, I didn't think it was possible to out CONCACAF, but here we are. They somehow were able to do it. I mean, if you heard the reports, and the reports are believed to be true, right? Basically, they had a couple players enter the country illegally, lie about their documentation, lock the officials out of the dressing room, of the Argentinian dressing room, and then went to play the game. And then the Brazilian health officials stormed the field. And then all chaos ensues 15 minutes later. Absolute classic scenes. I could not expect anything more out of a match in South America. That set the bar so much higher for every game I have to watch now.
Yeah. Especially for those two. Yeah. I mean, if that's true, not only is that going to be a forfeit for Argentina, but we're looking at a potential point deduction too.
They were saying that the points would be deducted from Brazil. That's the funnier part. Is that
how would that be possible?
Yeah, the Brazil Federation gave them the green light to play, which is even weirder because they had the green light to play the month prior in the Copa America.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why they're all of a sudden stepping up and pretending to just jump in and, be the COVID police now, because they haven't, in all honesty, have to get too political, don't really care about it in Brazil too much. But, it's pretty interesting to say the least. But
we'll see what
you're not
decide to do
kidding
with those guys.
Yeah, happens. But that was honestly the most wild thing ever. Like, legitimately, the police just came on the field and be like, nah, match is over.
Yeah.
Like, really? That's like, okay, it's nuts. Some other stuff from around the world that we got. Congrats on Italy. They broke the unbeaten streak of Brazil and Spain. They had a joint record of 35, and Italy finally got to 36, breaking that. What's the last game they lost? Did you guys look that up?
Yeah, it was to Portugal almost. What? I can't
3.5 years ago now, almost
3.5 years. This September 10th, 2018, when Portugal won I think it was the inaugural Nations League, right? Or Euros, when Ronaldo won the Euros, something along those lines. So
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, so pretty much right after they didn't qualify for the World Cup is when they went on this run, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Good for them. And we got some also interesting groups just going on over in the European qualifiers for the World Cup, notably B, G, H, and J. If you guys want to kind of get into that a little bit.
Yeah, Netherlands is on a tear. 6 goals last game, 4 goals the game before. The only downside for them is it sounds like Haaland broke Van Dijk's finger on one of those challenges.
I saw that.
So, I mean, it's not his leg, so I guess it's not too much to worry about. But they came storming back. They're level with Norway on points now, Group G.
Yeah, that's definitely a good group. Group H also real fast just to hit on it. Croatia, Russia tied at 13 points a pop. So, coming into the back half of like the qualifying, definitely a couple groups to watch, take a look at. I think there's a couple other teams too, or nations, I should say, that have some pretty close point tallies, and it'll be an interesting run-in in the back half. So,
yeah, Spain and Sweden are duking out up top on Group B. Spain with 10 points, Sweden with 9. Italy look clear of Switzerland for the most part. So, I mean, yeah, some of them are pretty close. Other ones aren't. The winners all go through. And then second place, some runner-up finishes. They go into like a playoff and stuff. So, will be interesting just to watch kind of down the road.
Yep.
But we do have something massive to talk about. And when I mean massive, like big time. The United States men's national team has not started too hot with the first 2 qualifiers. And we have one more game tomorrow when this podcast is actually coming out. 2 draws in 2 matches, one away to El Salvador and a 1-1 draw to Canada at home. What's your guys' positive takebacks or takeaways, I guess you'll say? Do we have any?
Yeah. My number one positive for the takeaways is that we are utterly dominating both those matches. Yeah. Maybe not possession-wise against El Salvador. I believe that was a little closer to 50-50. But overall, the USA is creating far more chances than the opponents we've played against, especially against the Canadian side, which admittedly is not the best, but is not the worst team in the world either. So it's good to see us trying to control the matches.
I mean,
okay.
I'd say in general, obviously, and this is after the first game we were watching and kind of talking about this, but a lot of people don't realize that CONCACAF, it has like this reputation as being a joke of like a conference and whatever, but playing at those games on the road, especially it was the first game, it was Honduras, right?
El Salvador.
Sorry. I mean, if you listen and watch that game, for anybody who was listening, right, that stadium, it was rocking, absolutely rocking, especially during the national anthem.
Chills right there.
Yeah, it was definitely a scary sight. There was even one point where like a little firework or bomb went off and you see Gio Reno just kind of jumping, almost shit himself a little bit.
I was crying when I saw that though.
Like
instantly jinxed.
And you have to take into account like a lot, again, this is like for the most part, the youngest generation of like US talent playing in these CONCACAF games. And for a lot of them, this is baptism with fire, right? Yep. So for them to come in, get a single point out of El Salvador in El Salvador, awesome. I'll take that all day of the week. The game against Canada, less forgivable. But to be in a position where, still at 2 points, a couple teams above us that have a few more points, but we're still, I think the majority, I think 2 or 3 have 2 as well.
There's 4 teams tied with 2 points right now. Mexico and Panama are ahead of us. Panama with 4, Mexico both 6.
So there's definitely still a possibility to finish in the top half. I wouldn't say obviously the top spot anymore, but they have to be stronger overall. And to Vito's point, like they played well, they're just not putting away the chances, which we'll get to in a little bit. But
yeah.
And Tyler Adams also deserves a shout out. That kid's an animal in the midfield.
Yeah.
So.
He is basically like our Antonio Conte over the next World Cup the entire 12 games we have left.
Antonio Conte? You mean N'Golo Conte?
Yeah, same guy. I mean, honestly, I'll take Conte as a coach. We'll get to that later, but
yeah, no, I think another good takeaway from that though, and while we're talking about stand-up performances, Miles Robinson's also been one of the best players in the field for both of those games in the center and back position there. So he's definitely in my opinion, has locked down his position in that back four for the time being.
Yeah, I don't see anyone. I mean, competition is completely open. I mean, we got Mark McKenzie, we got Chris Richards, who's not even in the roster right now. So he's definitely going to have some people knock on the door, but he has definitely solidified himself next to Brooks as our number 2 center back.
Yeah, 100%.
The other positive, we haven't lost. That's a good sign. We're getting points, which you never know which 1 point. That was the difference between us not getting into the playoff last time around. So you never know which one it could be. So take it with a grain of salt. I forgive the first game slightly. I want to say that very loosely, I guess. I forgive the result, not the performance. The performance was trash. We were sloppy on the ball. Possession was horrible, but I guess we can get to that in a little bit. So what's our negative takeaways from the first 2 qualifiers?
Not finding a way to win the games. Every team that's ever won a major championship or has been in contention for a championship has found a way to find that one moment of magic in a match to put yourself ahead. And in games where we're absolutely dominating, we're not being able to find those opportunities. We're not being able to convert those opportunities because we're definitely creating them. We had 13 big chances created against El Salvador and put one of them away. Like you can't do that if you want to make it through this group when only one team naturally qualifies. And that's my biggest problem for those last 2 games.
Yeah, there's no reason we shouldn't have won the El Salvador game, honestly. And as bad as we looked on the ball, possession-wise, passing, sloppiness, all that, first touches, we had 3 amazing headering opportunities: McKinnon, Miles, and Acosta.
Yeah, they should have put it away.
One of them had
on target, at least.
So that was definitely. I mean, my negative takeaway: 4 points dropped. We should have won that game. We were ahead in the Canada game. It's Berhalter. What are you guys feeling?
I think
is the summer glory just gone already? Like, what was it? Was it really a disguise? Like, did we do?
I think as the players, not to say that the level of intensity wasn't there in the Gold Cup and the Nations League, I just think that obviously, it's the World Cup qualifiers and people are going to play like their lives depend on it, right? Because for a lot of these players too, and these other countries, like their lives really do depend on it because that's the difference between them getting noticed and getting a contract maybe in Europe and like a team in Belgium for hypothetically, right? And now that I'm just saying, like, I don't think the players that we had were ready for it. I think there's also an element of Greg being, I don't want to say underprepared from a coaching perspective, but tactically maybe not the best use of some players. Jorginho Dest on the left, for instance, in the first game, right? Should he be playing there, right? Not beefing up the midfield a little bit quicker in that first game when you could tell that we were really slacking on possession. A couple of those key pieces and key things. And I don't know. I thought it came back to bite us. That's why I went on Greg. Greg has to own it, but I'm pretty confident that he'll have the ability to pull through. I have full faith and belief in him. If it's another 1-1 draw, another 0-0 draw, or hypothetically a loss, I think the pressure goes from like a 3 right now to like an 8. Like it just drastically turns up on him.
So, I mean, I think the pressure. I think the pressure is already at like a 6.5, 7.
Yeah,
a draw, a loss at Honduras. We fired Klinsmann for about the same thing.
Yeah, and we only played. I think between both those games, only 5 people from the original lineup against Salvador made it into the Canadian lineup. And I don't know if that was an issue of players maybe not being match fit, which I wouldn't fully understand. But he changed basically half the lineup and he changed the formation week over week. I think after you see that performance, maybe you give him another shot. Granted, did it work against Canada? I mean, who's to say? Did we dominate the game more? Yes. Did we win the game? No. So if you know who you want in your team, if you're Greg Berhalter at this point, you've seen him now through 2 tournaments and you've won 2 trophies. You know who needs to be in that team. You know who's available. So I don't understand why he's continuing to try to tinker with this lineup instead of trying to get more fluidity with these guys and let the synergy kind of work a little bit better than we've seen this in the opening 2 matches.
What do you guys think about the striker position? Out of curiosity, we've seen Sargent, Pfok, both start. Mm-hmm. I doubt Pepe gets it, even just because it's his first camp.
Highly doubt it.
I think he might get a substitute appearance in the next game, depending on what's going on. But we got Sargent, Pfok, Zardis, now Pepe, DK, and Hop.
I think
they're really a solution right now.
For all intents and purposes, the next game it'll probably be Sargent starting again, realistically. Just because he got the rest. So they want him to be coming out on all cylinders and probably bring that game to them. But in terms of like a long-term solution right now, I love Josh. I love all those players. I think they're all extraordinary players, but are they at the standard of like what the U.S. men's national team should and expect to have? Probably not. They're not putting away the chances that they're getting for the most part. Like we were alluding to earlier on this show, that seems to be our Achilles heel right now. As we get into these amazing positions, we have these wingers who can dribble, make the plays, and nobody's there on the back post or the front post to finish. So
yeah, I'm a little torn on that. I think Mike's right with the Josh Sargent call. I think he's definitely probably the main candidate in Berhalter's mind too, given the fact that our wingers like to take players on and get outside. And Sargent likes to drop a little bit deeper into the midfield and pick up possession and play little 1-2s and whatnot. But at the same time, it's exactly what's hurting our offense because we're not getting a player forward once we get it out to those wings to get the ball across where the striker should be. So I would personally like to see Josh Sargent stay a little bit farther forward, maybe drop Gio Reyna out of that winger position, mixing Conrad Del Fuente and Pulisic and even Brandon Harrison, because Gio Reyna can play in that position and play the 1-2s and spin the play out wide for those guys to get service into Josh Sargent. I think that's where the major lack is. And I think if they try to switch that up a little bit, Josh Sargent would fare a little bit better and look a little bit better than he has the opening match or 2.
Yeah, the biggest disjointed part of the offense that I saw from the first 2 games was the lack of a center attacking mid or number 10 role.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many runs.
Pass.
Yes.
Pass.
That not even just the pass, but just the space. Like it reminded me. I'm bringing this over and over again. We're Chelsea fans. Me and Vito, at least, watching Sarri play or just manage the game. It seemed like we'd just be passing a U shape around constantly. We just only go up and down the wings. There was nothing in that middle or the central of the field. The one goal that we've scored so far in these qualifiers was a beautiful hold up play. Aronson took it, got the Pfok, a little bit mishap right there, got to Pulisic. The ball was held up right in the middle, made 2 runs off of it, and then Robinson found the guy who started it all again, right? Aronson. But it was right in the middle of the field where everything happened and opened up the entire game. We haven't had that. And having someone there also allows our striker to just stay up top where he can poach goals.
Yeah, definitely. And even to that point, Brendan Aronson in the first game against El Salvador was playing in that cam position and had the second lowest rating on that field for the U.S. team.
He really was
outside of Josh Sargent.
He was out of position.
That's what I'm saying. He needs to be playing out in that wing spot. The moment you got him out there, he's pulling a 7.7 overall, I think it was. I think Gio Reyna needs to be playing that position. For me, for that team's sake of getting goals, I think he has to be there.
I'm fine. Listen, I'm fine with if it's Aronson, just keeping him central. If Pulisic wants to play there, whoever it is, like Drena preferably, just have someone in that just cam spot the position. I can't tell you how many times I saw Dest run up the right side, lose the ball because he had no one to go to.
Yeah, no certain.
Well, it was also
mind-boggling
in those two games. Not to shit on Dest too much, but
he looked horrible.
He got. I forget if it was the El Salvador game or which game it was, but he got burned.
It was El Salvador
multiple times, man.
And then Canada game, he got caught ball watching, didn't turn into a goal. Yedlin ironically was the one that made the big mistake for the goal. But
do you think there's a little bit of complacency in this team after those two championships?
I don't think so.
I'd say arrogance.
Yeah,
I'd say arrogance.
I think lack of experience was the biggest thing. No one, what is it? I think 10 guys have made their World Cup qualifying debuts. And they found out mostly in El Salvador, like what's up. I think it's a combination between experience on the playing side, but also a hell of a lot on the coaching side.
Yeah.
The last negative I want to bring up too, we got Weston McKennie drama. We just kind of went over this a little bit for pre-podcast, but guys scoring off the field, definitely scoring off the field. Maybe
they didn't specify who the unauthorized person was, but for anyone listening, put it together. Nashville, 21-year-old.
Labor Day weekend,
bachelorette parties, nonstop.
Yeah.
Unless he's going to a fantasy football draft. I mean, I don't know.
He might have been. Listen, it's that time of the year. It's very possible.
Yeah.
Can't miss those in-person drafts either. Don't want to be that guy.
And that's sad too, because he played well in El Salvador. And I think if he's in that midfield instead of Kellen Acosta or Leggett against Canada, we probably win that game, in my opinion.
I actually thought he had one of his worst games for the U.S. Against El Salvador, to be honest with you.
He wasn't one of the worst ones on the field, I don't think.
Maybe not the worst on the field,
comparatively speaking.
No, I agree. But like for his standards, I thought he actually had a really, really poor game, just especially possession-wise, passing, first touches. He looked very sloppy.
He was thinking about Nashville.
Damn right he was.
Yeah.
So
you didn't say he played for Juventus. I don't know if I would have known that.
Yeah.
Not the way he looked, yeah. But I mean, fun. Dybala, and I think Arthur threw that party last year during COVID and everything.
Got in a bunch of trouble.
Yep.
Clearly, I don't know. Something's not sitting in with the kid right now. So very selfish of him just to do the national team, his teammates, the country, like everything like that. I get it. You're 21. Trust me. We've all been 21. We understand what it's like to go out and stuff. I get it, but it's just not the time for it.
You have to know what you signed up for when you represent your country, and that's giving everything at all times. And forget about the fans that he let down. He let down all of his teammates and his coach, who probably had him placed in that lineup already and then had to reshuffle things probably last second.
Yeah.
So
it's 1 week, dude. You can live without it.
Exactly. And I hope for his sake, someone on that team, maybe one of the more senior players like Brooks or someone, is able to pull him aside and show him what's what, because now, like to your point, this is the second time this has happened in a year. Once with his club and now with his national team. And if this doesn't get across to him, even like Landon Donovan's got to come out and lambast him for it. Hopefully he gets it this time.
No, I agree with you. What so you guys think we have any chance of even winning the group at this point, or is it more just kind of qualifying?
No,
I think we do. I think the two teams that are ahead of us, we haven't played yet. One of them being Mexico, who we seem to have their number 4. We're only 4 points behind. We're able to pull a win off of Mexico and make it a 1 point between us and the clear other favorite in the group. I think we have a good chance. We have still 7-8 games left, whatever it is at the time. I think
like 12, man.
Yeah, 12. Sorry, I don't know why. After I said it like that,
no
right?
More, man. Ain't the hex.
I think it depends on what happens over the next game. This next game. Next 2 games,
statistically, I just don't see it. I think Mexico will probably end up pulling away at the very end. I think the U.S. will probably get that second spot at the end of the day, but I think the gap at this point is already going to be too large. I don't see Mexico losing or really dropping too many points like we have been. So
you guys are are pretty confident in qualifying, or do you think we have to go through a playoff?
Qualify, yes. In terms of finishing top group, no. Playoff, no.
Qualifying, yes. I think we have a chance to top the group. I wouldn't say it's likely. I'd say probably closer to 75% not. But I think the option for us is there. I do think we will qualify this time around. I think there's enough talent in this team compared to the year we missed out or the other years where it's been a little closer. And I think we'll pull through. Greg's got to get control of that locker room a little bit.
Okay. The way it's looking, I honestly think we have to go through a playoff. But again, a lot can change in the next 12, next couple windows realistically. So, and that could be a coaching change. So what do you guys think? We walk out with 3 points or less. Is Greg fired?
No.
I don't think he's fired.
Too early
yet. I don't think he's fired yet. If they take a hard L, maybe like if they lose like 3 or 4-0, like that would be like the, okay, you're fired moment. But if they just took like a loss or a tie, he stays in. I wouldn't say he gets potentially canned, and you never want to say that about somebody losing their job, but if he's not performing, not bringing the goods, I don't think he makes it past the 4th game.
But would the second window be too late at that point if we start dropping too many?
I don't think
so. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of under the impression of fire quick.
I think that's the right time personally. Like right after that 4th game, because how many you said it's 12 games and
we got 12 left. It's 14 total.
Right. So
11 after tomorrow when this comes out.
So that's still enough time for a coach to come in and make an impression.
Yeah.
So I think that 4th game is if it's still like we have only 4 points amassed, then you let them go.
Yeah. I think after the next set of games, because they play them in groups of 3 with the international breaks, the next set being in October, beginning of October to middle of October.
Away,
I think that is going to be the series that would eventually determine whether or not he's going to be gone. I think it's too early coming off the back of 2 wins. He's shown what he can get out of this team. And I don't think you break apart the morale of that team just yet. Jamaica is going to be a big test in the first week of October.
Massive
test for us.
That's what's been killing us in games.
Yeah.
Very noticeable.
I think it's imperative for the morale of this team to get that win against Honduras tomorrow. They have to get 3 points from that game, I think, to even have a chance at winning the group. But I think you give him the next series, the next group of 3 games.
Okay. Do you think Pulisic's comments at the end of the Canada game were any kind of slight jabs at the federation to say hint, like this is what we want as players? Did you guys see him? That you want me to read them off? I don't even know.
Yeah, just read it for anybody who might have not heard it.
All right. So yeah, Pulisic basically at the end of the Canada game, post game, was getting interviewed, and he just said, we need new ideas at times. We didn't test them enough. We couldn't break them down. Obviously just weren't good enough. Kind of sounds, if you read between the lines, we need new ideas. That sounds like he's calling for a manager change, and that's coming from the captain.
I guess my question is who do you bring in? Who do you have to replace him? Is it
who's ready? Exactly. We're right in the middle of the club season.
Is it Bruce Arena who's just is he still coaching? Like, what's he doing? Is it
Bruce comes back? I will shoot myself.
It ain't Bruce.
Like is it Tab Ramos who will step in and fill that void? Like, what are they going to do? Who are they going to bring in? So I don't know.
I understand what he's saying, but I still think that wasn't the problem. How many more opportunities do you want this team to create? If you create 13 opportunities against El Salvador and you score 1 goal, it's not the opportunities that are being missed. It's not the creation that's the issue, clearly.
13 in total, I believe you meant to say, right? Or 13 in it.
13 chances created in total. Yeah.
Okay. And
you created another 7 and 11 shots against Canada. I don't think the creation is the issue. I don't. I think his comments were a little misplaced. I get the frustration, of course. Of course I do. But I think the conversion rate is obviously the problem. And that's coming from a guy who just hit the post when that could have sealed the deal when he was in behind the defense.
That's blaming him for doing that when that ball was completely behind him. I think it's a little reckless on that comment.
I agree. I'm not saying he 100% should have converted. I'm just saying I don't think what he said was right about the way they played in the first 2 games.
Really? Because I when I look at the team, it was completely disjointed. We might have on paper big chances created, which I would agree in the El Salvador game. There was 3 spot on ones that we should put away. But Canada, besides the one that we netted, which is a great 1-2 in front of net, the Pulisic off the post. What else did we really have that was like, yeah, we should have scored?
I don't know.
Yeah, like
I
on
hear what you're
paper,
saying.
we might be shooting a lot. That's fine and all. That's great, but I looked at the team and it reminded me of someone without an identity. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't link up with each other. Pulisic was dropping legitimately halfway between the midway midfield and R18 just to get the ball in some instances because no one else could make those driving passes or runs through.
Well, again, to your point, it's coming back to the fact that we don't have somebody who can sit in that pocket as that 10, that true 10, and spray out the ball where it needs to be sprayed.
But I also think it's something on Berhalter at the same time because we knew Way wasn't coming into camp. Reina afterwards also got hurt. Desk now too. He had times he brought in a replacement for Stefan immediately. Why didn't he bring in other guys to kind of fill in the roles up front or in the midfield where we could be doing it? I don't know if it's Europe guys not being allowed on such short notice. I'm sure there's someone in the MLS that could have just came in as an attacking midfielder. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Do you think he thought that he didn't need to, given the goal for quality, given that way they performed the last little while?
That's what it felt like, and I think he's 100% wrong in what happened because things happen. Weston happens with the drama, injuries, COVID. There's way too much going on right now currently to not bring in reinforcements. I thought that was one of the biggest things. You have the lack of offense, reliance on set pieces. I mean, how many 1-0 games did we win over the Gold Cup? And
so I got a question for you. If the opportunity arose and Josie, for instance, said, "Hey, I'm available, bring me on." If you were Berhalter, do you bring in Josie? Do you bring in someone who's proven on that level?
I think everyone from that 2017 is pretty much kicked out, is like blackballed.
I would agree with Steve for the sole reason that I think
there's like three guys left.
Yeah.
One of them's Pulisic.
With
that
that
one's
being
Yedlin and Brooks.
Yeah. With that being said, though, talking to the other side of my mouth, I think we're at a point where we have to look at any available player and go, if you can get us to the World Cup, then fine. I don't care. If guys aren't performing, then that's just how it's going to have to be. You can tweak the lineups or whatever once you qualify, but qualifying comes first, one foot in front of the other at a time. And if we continue to not put chances away or convert chances or maybe have to your points, maybe have better personnel fitted for the way that Berhalter wants to play, then yeah, maybe we do need to be looking around somewhere else.
I think it's on Berhalter because we have way more than enough talent, but it's not being utilized in the right way. I forget which one of you guys said it earlier with Des starting on the left side in the first game. We have Anthony Robinson absolutely murdering it right now in form, has the only assist, or the only goal we scored so far. Why is he not starting on there? Why is Desk there? And it just doesn't, there's like, what's going on in the guy's head?
And then he moved Desk to the right for Canada and then brought in Robinson.
I mean, yeah, but that just, why not El Salvador? It didn't make sense to me. Maybe, I don't know if Robinson played too much and just wasn't fit in time, whatever. But the in-game subs I thought was fixed during the Gold Cup. It seemed to be like he was on point with a lot of those, and we just took like 4 steps backwards. Like, waits the 81st minute to drop in 3 dudes. Like, how much time is that really going to give them?
How much does that have to affect the game? Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't. Nothing adds up right there. The formation setup seems completely wrong right now. I don't know how. Like, we're not playing a 4-2-3-1.
Let me ask, in an ideal scenario, then, assuming you're now Greg Berhalter for the both of you, what would you want? What would you want to see? What would you expect to see?
My perfect lineup right now is going to be Turner in net, Desk on the right, which is questionable the way he's performed.
Well, is he even expected to play? I think he's out.
Are you saying
he was injured?
Are you saying for Honduras or are you
saying for tomorrow night?
Okay. No, I'd go 3 back. I would have Yedlin on the right wing back. I'd have Miles on the right center back. The main center back I probably put Stanis. I like how comfortable he is, and he can go into that midfield and be just as good. So if that turned into a 4 back, that's fine. Brooks on the left center back, Robinson on the left. So basically like a 3. I probably put 5 in the midfield. They're 3-4-3, somewhere along those lines. Pulisic up top, Sargent up top, Conrad up top. So that's the 3 there, and then
2 in the mid.
Adams definitely, and if he has enough in the tank, and then depending on if you have Acosta or Linjet. Reina's out too.
Oh, Reina's out. You're right. Yeah. Damn.
So I'd probably go 3-4-3 or 3-5-2.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to put guys in the middle because we're that's the one big positive I think we've had. We've been looking great out in the wings because of the quality of the wingers that we have. And you overload those and put some guys in the middle, they're going to get enough chances to turn one or two of them in. And that Honduras team, I can't see breaking us down at that point.
That's what I'm saying. Like, let's just stack the midfield. Like, just get the high press going. Because when we high pressed, it worked out great for us. I mean, that's how
that's how the goal happened with Aaron.
Yep.
So if we just get those wing backs going forward enough, and then the three backs between Sands, Robinson, and Brooks, that is a stellar 3-back system that we have protecting those guys on the outside to like feel free to order to get forward and just create a bunch of pressure.
And Yedlin's like a jet plane, so flying back. So if he was over there, there is so much lacking in possession and everything in that midfield for us and going forward that I don't know how you don't put 5 bodies in there. Okay, looking at it conversely, then we do look very good. Or I shouldn't say very good, but we look pretty good on counters as well. Do you think maybe another option in Greg's mind is put the 4 backs there, don't concede a goal, and we know we'll hit on counters and possession. It's not like we're going to get killed on possession. I'm not saying give up possession either, but do you think that's a possibility to maybe balance it a little bit more just to make sure we don't give up that goal?
I don't think from an identity perspective they would want or allow that, to be honest. From ever since Berhalter came in charge, like you could see the system he was trying to implement was push everyone up, play out of the back. Like
it's been 4-3-3 since the day started.
Yeah, like that's not the way they're going to play. I can't picture that, and I think he's the type of guy who will live and die by his sword, essentially.
Which I hate as a coach. So something like, I mean, Mike just went through it. We went through it twice with Chelsea. Jose Mourinho is a prime example of that. He plays his own way. He brings in his own players. It takes him 2 years to figure it out, and then he's gone by then. Play to the people that you have their strengths. That's it. That's how you manage your soccer team, whatever you want to call them.
I like for them
Raven right now.
4-3-3. Kind of the same thing against Canada, except without Dest. You put in Yedlin, obviously, and I don't know how to pronounce his name. Thosan, that started in striker for Josh Sargent instead.
Pfok.
Sorry,
yeah, he goes by Pfok.
I'm fine with him up front. I if we go 4 back, I think our best formation is 4-2-3-1. So what do you guys think about Berhalter potentially losing the locker room? Do we think we're at that point yet? Because with Pulisic comments and then just the way the teams looked specifically, do we think there's something going on that they don't think he's the right man in charge in itself?
I don't think so. I think that's a little premature because the way that they were playing in the past 2 tournaments over the summer, like we touched on this, like it seems like they like playing for him. He's an emotional guy and it looks like he wears his heart on his sleeve. And I think those players in particular respond to that pretty well. I don't think he's lost them yet. The comments are definitely a little suspect. I'll say that, especially
alarming
from Pulisic. But I don't think we're at that point where we have to say, hey, like this dressing room's a total shit show and he's got to go and we got to get some stability and order in here. So
I think it's on its way down. Mm-hmm. But to Mike's point, I don't think we've hit Jose Mourinho locker room mania
That's tough
yet.
To do, though.
That's almost
yeah. That might take a couple of years, but
that's a talent, actually.
Yeah,
it is.
He like transcends time with that. He's like, let's just jump ahead 10 years to destruction. But no, I don't think it's quite there. I think players are you can tell are starting to be on the fringe of frustration. I think a good win against Honduras bounces right back.
Yeah.
You got enough time after that for players' mind states to reset. And come back into the next, 3-game set, maybe with a little bit of different capabilities and mind state. But
I think the whole locker room, Greg and the coaches included, just can't wait for this window to be over and then reassess.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. You think McKennie gets a call back?
Yeah, no doubt. Greg already said it to himself. He had an interview with him. He basically said it's an open door policy. No, it would take a crap ton to be blackballed from this team. You have to really go out and like set yourself like some Mario Kart type thing, maybe. Mm-hmm. Whatever the case is.
The whole relationship on fire.
Balotelli at City.
You have to do so much damage. He basically said to not get called back. So
I mean, the guy, and he made a mistake too. And I'm sure that they had a conversation where McKennie apologized profusely for that. By all accounts, it seems like he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, he posted on his Instagram too, like something about like apologizing. So I think he understands what he did, but time will tell. He's a young kid. So
yeah, but
we've all been there.
Exactly. But even as a young kid, he is one of the leaders in the locker room. So just be seeing one of your guys like that doing it, that's the thing that kind of hurts. But let's stop ranting and raving right now about the US team. There's so much more to probably get into, but I don't want the show to be miserable. So
hopefully by tomorrow when we re-record next week, we'll be singing praises. You never know.
Yeah. 4-0, Pulisic hat trick masterclass, right? Like I'm about it. I'm about it. Listen, we can all hope. Let's get into what we've been missing for quite a bit now. It feels like at least a week and a half. Some Premier League predictions for the upcoming game week, because yes, it is back.
Oh, it's back. It's very back.
It's back in a big way, boys.
Yeah.
So first game we got up in the upcoming week, Spurs and Crystal Palace, I think.
Yes, Spurs and Crystal Palace. Top of the league. Don't you forget it.
You weren't here for it either. We tried
to
say it with authority and let the people know. Who would have thought 3 games in, 9 points, top of the league, no goals conceded. Oh God, 1-0 wins.
That's what I was gonna say.
Anyway, truth be told, not expected. Happily will take it. Do I think it'll last forever? No. Do I think this is the game they come crashing back to reality? No. I'm going to go with the Spurs, another, why not, 1-0 win. So we'll see. They also just got a crap ton of injuries on the international break. And speaking of the Brazil-Argentina game, 2 of their players, Christian Romero and Giovanni Lo Celso, tried to sneak into the country, so they're not allowed to play. So we'll see what happens. But I do think a Spurs win 1-0. So
1-0 sounds like the perfect scoreline for me as well.
I'll take a 2-0 on that one.
Crystal Palace is, I mean, listen, we pretty much shit on them for that Chelsea game pretty hard, which is a clearly outclassed performance by them, by the champions of Europe at least. Mm-hmm. But ever since 1-1,
they haven't looked bad. Yeah,
they haven't looked bad. 2 tough draws against teams in the top half of the table. Vieira might have something up his sleeve. I wouldn't be shocked if Tottenham did come crashing back down, but I'll take the 1-0 just based off something that they got going on right now. Then we have the start of the 10 o'clock games, a must win for our favorite team on this podcast, Arsenal against Norwich City.
Norwich by 1 billion.
Oof. Is this the game that Norwich finally gets redemption for whoever they just totally screwed for that shit schedule?
Might be.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for both teams, I guess. But I would say this has got a draw written all over it for me. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw here.
I'm going to go with the Norwich win here. I liked the way they looked towards the end of before the international break hit. I thought they were very good against Leicester, and not to say that Arsenal isn't a better team on paper in terms of quality, but they just look in such disarray. I don't know the international break was enough time for them to pull it all back together, or for Arteta to get things going. So I like Norwich City 2-1 here.
I'm actually going to take Arsenal 2-1. I think international break was exactly what they needed to kind of just recoup. It's also Mikel Arteta's firing game if he doesn't. So I'm assuming he's bringing everything out. That
you think if he loses this, he's canned?
If he loses, he has every right to be.
Is that the word on the street? At least on the Twitter sphere?
It's the word on my street, man. That's all that matters.
Let's not forget, Norwich have scored more goals this year than Arsenal. Don't forget.
They have. They've also conceded 1 more, 10 instead of 9. So neither one's looking very good at the moment. But
Tottenham have had more players deported than Arsenal have had goals scored.
Wins, points, whatever else you want to throw out there. Just keep.
I can't help it. I'm sorry. It's gonna come back to haunt me. But just talking all this crap.
I'll take an Arsenal 2-1. I think in terms of quality, like granted, to Vito's point, Norwich have looked actually pretty good in most of their games so far. I just think in terms of quality, Arsenal have to come back and do something. They're playing a relegation team. If they don't do it now, I'm dead ass, like serious. Like Mikel is probably done. Next 10 o'clock game, Brentford and Brighton. Very tricky one.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. I like a draw for this one. Brentford's drawn their last, 2 matches after that initial win against Arsenal. And I think it's going to be a very Brentford attacking affair and Brighton holding on. And I think it's going to end up a 1-1 game. Or I can see this being even a 0-0.
Who would have thought Brentford 10th place? That's where we all had him in the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah, everyone.
I think I had him the highest, but it definitely wasn't there.
No, kudos to them for even being in that position. It's awesome to see. Like we've kind of touched on. Brighton just came off a 2-0 loss to Everton, right? The week prior.
Yeah, they started off 2-0.
Is their boy Neil up top? Is he back?
Mape? Yeah, I think
he was out. He was out with an injury.
Yeah, I think he's back.
I'm still not totally convinced by his finishing ability. Brentford. We know what they're kind of capable of. I want to say draw and follow you down that path, Vito, but for whatever reason, I get the feeling that Brighton wins this 1-0. So I'm going to stick with that gut there.
I could see them having a brick wall for defense, and then 78th, 81st minute, something along those lines. They just come out of nowhere with some ridiculous goal off a corner or something else. It's Brentford's first game back in the Premier League at home, to my knowledge, which is an awesome crowd advantage. I'm going to take a 2-1 Brentford win.
Brentford win.
I think we have a lot of differences here. I like this, boys.
Yeah. I think the next one we're all going to have the same for the most part.
Yeah, you're probably right. We have Leicester City hosting Manchester City.
Oh, wow. I think you got confused. Which game are you talking about?
I'm taking this one. I don't like the way Leicester looked. I take City here. I think this is going to be a 3-1. I think they're going to expose some of Leicester City's problems that we're going to end up seeing for the rest of the season.
I'm with you. Man City definitely takes the win. Leicester have not looked good to this point. It could be another Arsenal situation where maybe they needed that international break to reassess. But yeah, it hasn't looked good so far for them.
I want to do something different, but it's kind of hard to go against Manchester City. So I'll say City as well.
Gotcha. Then we got Manchester United and Newcastle. Man U at Old Trafford.
The prodigal son will return.
Yeah, the return of Ronaldo.
I think this is probably the most lopsided matchup of the week. I just can't see United dropping points here, although given last season's results, they were the model of inconsistency. They were consistently inconsistent, put it that way. I think they're gonna hammer this one out. I think this is gonna end up being like a 4-0 win for them.
Yeah, I don't see the Ronaldo return any different. So yeah, definitely Man U win.
Yep, Man U win 3-0.
Then we got West Ham and Southampton.
This is gonna be interesting. This match is going to be very interesting. It's in Southampton. West Ham's in too good of form for me to take anyone else, but I think Southampton's going to give them a lot of trouble. They've looked better than we've expected this season, even though they've only pulled off 2 draws without a win so far. I think it's going to end up being a 2-1 West Ham win here.
Yeah, I'm taking a West Ham win as well. I think they just looked too good in the beginning of the season, and Southampton just have not. They've barely snuck by with what they got so far.
I would agree. Concur with everything. West Ham.
All right. Then we got the last 10 a.m. game of the week. Seems like we have like 600 of them. It's going to be very difficult to watch. Watford and Wolves.
Wow.
Draw 2-2.
Is this the game they finally score?
Come on, man. Don't do Wolves dirty like that. Yeah, come on, Vito.
Draw 2-2.
That is bold. You're expecting Watford to score 2 more goals.
I am expecting Watford
the rest of the season.
They're going to blow their load. Yeah.
Wolves are so open when they play.
Wolves win.
They're open, but they really don't. Well, they've lost 3-1 games. Yeah. And then some of the goals are even.
They should. They honestly, they probably maybe should have beat Manchester United. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
They just couldn't finish for shit. So if you watch that game, but.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a Wolves here, 2-0 win. They get off the mark finally and send Watford. Are they in the relegation zone, Watford? Or are they still hanging just above?
No, Watford's in 12th right now.
They're in 12th.
I mean, it's 3 points.
Yeah, it's too early for that type of thing, but
Wolves is in
the relegation zone, so they get out of it and they send Watford down to it. That's what we're going with.
Yeah, but you're assuming that Arsenal's going to win.
No, they can stay down there. That's fine.
I know.
So, and trust me, they wouldn't be there on goal differential anyway.
Yeah,
they're still stuck.
Fair enough.
The primetime game of the week. It's actually a pretty good one. Chelsea hosting Aston Villa.
this
after the 1-1 draw in Liverpool, I get the feeling that Chelsea's going to be out for blood. Villa also, I believe, coming off a draw as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Brentford,
from the week prior.
1-1.
Exactly. I think this game only goes one way, and I think that's Chelsea's way. I'm going to probably say a 2-1 win for Chelsea. Not even a 2-1. I would say, honestly, a 2-0 win. I don't think Aston Villa get the goal, to be honest.
I'm a little iffy on this one. With Reece James out of this game because of his red card against Liverpool, you might see Tuchel try to go to a back four here, the way he kind of played at PSG a little bit. I'm very curious if he's going to do it. I don't think he should, given the performances that Chelsea have been with 3-4-3. But if he does, that's going to change the way this team plays, and I'm not used to it. And in that case, I think it falls to a draw here. I think Aston Villa got a lot better than everyone expected, a lot quicker, especially with all the signings they made here. So
yeah, I'm taking
a draw.
Okay, I'm taking 3-1 Chelsea win. I think they're too much. Even if they go to that back four, you throw Chilwell in there over Marcus Alonso, shore up the defense, and a little bit of going forward as well. Alonso doesn't deserve his place after what happened in Liverpool.
Ballsy this week with my calls.
And you'll be in the cellar. Mike's coming up in the second. Welcome. Sunday, one game only, and that is Liverpool and Leeds. I hope you didn't hear my puppy bark.
We did. And there's also only one outcome here. I think this is going to be a Liverpool win.
Michael?
Yeah, I was just trying to think of any way that Leeds could potentially win this game and steal a point. But unfortunately, that defense is unbelievably exposed. So, yeah, Liverpool, 100%.
I wonder what kind of face you're making over there and what took you so long. Yeah, Liverpool definitely is taking this one, even though it's away to Leeds. I'd love to see Leeds do something right now. They're falling into that sophomore slump, and I don't like to see it.
I think we're missing one game also, Steve.
We are. We got a Monday
Everton,
night.
Burnley.
Yeah.
Everton and Vito just said it. Taking my fucking thunder.
My bad.
Come on, bro.
My bad.
Tough one.
Everton's look good. Everton has looked very good at the start of this season so far. I'm hoping they can continue that run here. Burnley's obviously struggled a little bit with 2 losses and a draw. I think there's only one outcome for this game, especially in Goodison Park.
They finally spend money on a left back.
Club record signing, baby. Sean Dyche is
on a mascot.
Oh, man. Yeah.
He's probably spent $15 million in the last 4 windows combined. Good for him.
Yeah.
I know he finally got his paycheck to spend. Yeah, Everton have been in pretty fine form. I think this is that point where they hit that fine form and they become Everton again, and they get a 1-1 draw.
They're off the high of August like they had last year. It's just going to start crumbling down. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I was actually going to say the same thing. I think Burnley start to get something and get off the mark here. Or I guess they kind of already did with the draw, but I see him doing it again. 1-1. It's a perfect result. And that's it for all the predictions, boys. I'm very excited. We got Premier League football coming back.
Premier League football. We have the United States playing tomorrow for whatever reason at the latest time on the East Coast. Vito, enjoy the nice game.
7:30.
Yeah. Jerk
off.
So I love it.
Truthfully, US at this point, so I'm just happy for the Premier League. I could take a break from watching that dismantling, disjointed offense and whatever you want to call it. What other final thoughts you guys got on the on today's show?
Just that as much as I love watching the national team play, I am very happy for club football to be back.
Extremely happy for club football to be back. Can't wait to see what happens this weekend and to see if Spurs can retain their number 1 spot. We will find out.
Yeah, really, I just want to see Ronaldo back at United and that full PSG lineup out there because Messi, I want to see a full 90 for Messi and Mbappe and Neymar. Well, Mbappe's hurt now, I guess, but
is he hurt?
He's hurt. He's hurt.
He's just waiting for January.
His pockets are hurting, maybe. Yeah. Real Madrid,
200 million.
60 on
he gets
6
paid,
months
he
early.
gets paid enough.
Yeah.
Just a bit. We have just to go over real quick our bold predictions. You got me in first with 15, and both of you guys tied for second with 14, and that will continue on. We'll keep track of that for next week as well.
I thought I had 15.
You do.
Do you?
He just can't.
We're tied with 15.
Oh, it's tied that way.
I have 14.
Yeah.
I have 14.
How dare you? I'll be last after my draw predictions this week, but we'll see.
All right, yeah, sorry. I'm future predicting that Vito's going to be in last place.
They're not bold. They're not called bold predictions for no reason. So.
Yeah, right.
You make a good point. Good point, sir. That'll do it for another episode of the Sunday League Screamers podcast. Like, comment, and hit the bell to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Also, follow us on Twitter, SLScreamers_pod for daily tweets and updates about the show, World Football. I'm your host of today's show, Steve McCutcheon, along with Vito Inazelli and Michael Nowen, signing off.